Hey folks, I know I'm just a guy telling stories, but I would appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Let's enjoy today's stories. It started as a joke, really. My friends and I had always talked about the dark web like it was some urban legend, full of hackers, hitmen, and black market sales. We were a group of tech nerds who liked pushing the limits of what we could find online, but none of us had ever really ventured that deep. Until one night, when a friend dared me to do it. You want to see something no one's supposed to see? My friend Tim texted me late one Friday. He attached a link to a Tor browser forum with a simple description, top secret government leaks. I clicked. At first, it seemed like a generic forum filled with conspiracy theorists and disinformation, but one thread caught my eye. Leaked CIA documents. Area 51 confirmed operations. Most of the replies seemed like the usual nonsense, but there was a download link buried in the comments. Something about it felt different. Without thinking too much about it, I clicked. The file was huge, filled with what looked like declassified documents from a government database, scanned PDFs of reports, and, disturbingly, videos. The title of the main folder made my heart race. Project Serapis. I had never heard of it before, but everything about it screamed classified. I should have stopped. I should have deleted everything right then and there. But I didn't. I opened the first document, and what I read was more than just conspiracy theories. It was a nightmare. The reports began in the 1940s, right around the time of the infamous Roswell incident. They weren't about UFO sightings or alien spacecraft, though. They were about biologicals. The government didn't just recover a ship. They recovered something inside of it. The report described the creature in excruciating detail. Approximately 4 feet tall, grayish skin, large black almond-shaped eyes, and an anatomy that defied human understanding. This was the first known entity, labeled E1, captured alive. The files grew more disturbing as I scrolled down. The creature had been taken to a secure underground facility. Area 51 wasn't even the real name. That was just a cover for something called Site Omega. E1 wasn't just studied, it was experimented on. I clicked on a video file, my hand trembling as it loaded. It was surveillance footage, dated July 1948. The creature, E1, was strapped down to a table in what looked like a sterile medical room. Doctors in hazmat suits surrounded it. At first, the alien was calm, eerily still, as if it knew there was no point in resisting. But then the experiments began. They were testing its resilience, cutting into its skin, inserting probes into its body, shocking it with electrical pulses to see how it reacted. Its black eyes widened in obvious pain, but no sound escaped it. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. I felt paralyzed by the horror playing out in front of me. The deeper I went into the files, the worse it got. E1 wasn't the only one. There were others. E2, E3, E12, all taken over the years, some alive, some dead on arrival. The living ones were subjected to unspeakable torture. There were files documenting everything. Tests on how their organs functioned, their neurological systems, their ability to regenerate tissue. The most chilling part was the psychological experiments. The creatures, it turned out, had some form of telepathy, and the scientists were obsessed with understanding it, controlling it. The documents mentioned repeated attempts to break their mental defenses, to strip away their autonomy, and use their telepathic abilities for military purposes. One report detailed how they exposed the creatures to extreme isolation, starvation, and sensory deprivation in an effort to force them to communicate or submit. The results were horrifying. One experiment with E7 stood out. The creature had been alive for nearly 5 years in captivity. The scientists had deprived it of contact with any of its kind, feeding it only the bare minimum to survive. They recorded its behavior daily, noting that over time, the alien became more and more unresponsive, its once brilliant, inquisitive eyes dulling with each passing month. Then came the video. It was labeled simply, Termination. I watched as the same doctors, those same faceless monsters in hazmat suits, entered the creature's cell. It didn't react at first, its frail body hunched in the corner. One of the scientists barked an order, and the other approached it with a syringe. The alien's head snapped up. For the first time, it spoke. Not with words, but in a way that made the entire room seem to vibrate. The camera feed distorted, and for a brief moment the screen went black. When the image returned, the creature was standing, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The doctors backed away as their equipment sparked, the lights flickered, and alarms blared. The alien's last transmission, telepathic or otherwise, sent shivers down my spine. The camera picked up just one word, seemingly spoken inside the minds of everyone in the room. Why? Then there was a flash. Static filled the screen. When the feed came back, the alien was dead, slumped lifeless against the wall. All the doctors collapsed on the floor, some bleeding from their noses and ears. The file ended abruptly after that, and I was left staring at the screen, numb. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The things I'd seen, the horrors our government had committed in the name of progress, kept playing in my head. We weren't the victims of some extraterrestrial invasion. We were the invaders. The monsters. We had captured beings from across the stars and treated them like lab rats, trying to dissect their very essence for our gain. But the worst part? The files weren't just old. Some were recent. Very recent. A new series of documents showed that, as recently as 5 years ago, they had captured another entity. E23. This one had survived longer than the others, resisting every attempt to break it. And the more I read, the more it became clear. They weren't done with their experiments. Not by a long shot. They were still trying to unlock the key to controlling these beings, and they were getting closer. The final document was a message from a scientist on the project. It wasn't part of the official report. It was a personal note, hidden among the files like a secret confession. I fear we've gone too far. The subjects, they know. They've always known. And soon, they're going to make us pay for what we've done. I slammed my laptop shut, my heart racing. I didn't know what to do with the information I had just uncovered. Who would believe me? And even if they did, what could they do? This wasn't some shadowy conspiracy. It was real. It was happening right now, and no one was stopping it. For days, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Paranoia settled in like a fog, but I knew it wasn't just in my head. This kind of information wasn't meant to be found, and I had crossed a line. My phone started glitching. Strange cars idled outside my apartment at odd hours. Someone, something, was out there. I haven't logged back onto the dark web since. I deleted everything, wiped my drives, burned the hard copies of anything I'd printed. But even now, I can't stop thinking about those documents, about what we've done, and about what's coming. Because if those creatures ever find a way to escape, we won't just be facing an invasion. We'll be facing revenge.